There's a feeling I can't describe what it is to be alive, and no matter how I try, it escapes me. Heart set afire, glowing, crackling wild. This stops me in my tracks, yeah, it wakes me, and I say, took a moment just for me, and hell, it felt like eternity. The grass had never looked so good on both sides of the street. All the facts were still the same, but just a whole lot less like shame. And I fell in love with the rough spots on my face and feet.
Wow, thank you, Erin, for waking us up. Welcome. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Hill Country on this Sunday after Christmas while we stay home safe and meet virtually. My name is Jill Wiggins and I'm your service associate today. We especially welcome visitors whether you are joining us from near or far away. If you are with us for the first time, please wave so that we can know who you are. Do we have any new visitors, first-time visitors? Okay, we'll have some announcements. Do we have any announcements? Wade, let Justin unmute you if we do.
All right. Mari, let me get you on there.
Hey, Sandra Lane is going to be coming home almost definitely on Tuesday sometime from Hilltop Village where she's been staying. And we need some help. One is a ride home for her. One is that she will, food preparation and things like that are going to be a little difficult for her for a while. So if we can have some help with that, people can bring stuff in for the freezer or the fridge. That would be wonderful. Also, just to visit with her. We don't know yet. I don't know yet what her ability will be in terms of safety in the house. So that's to be seen. One important thing is that we're going to pick up, I have ordered some equipment at the senior center, and that's going to need to be picked up since I don't drive. So if anybody has a rather larger car and can give me an appointment, and I could either on Monday afternoon, actually, Monday afternoon or Tuesday sometime would be really useful for that. We could get a walker, a small wheelchair, and some other stuff that they're saving for us. Give me, and any of you who are interested in being a part of this team, there's already a small team working for her. If you're interested in being a part of this and doing some of this, please give me a call. My number's in the church directory and I'll make a list and we'll do a church help for Sandra, who is working on getting home. She's very anxious to come home to her 7 cats. So give me a call. Thank you.
She's a lady. All right. Anyone else?
All right, Jerry, let me get you up 1 second.
Yeah, just a quick reminder. Just a quick reminder that we'll have a congressional meeting, or a congregational meeting about 15 minutes after service today. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Any more announcements? Okay, let's introduce our guest speaker, the Reverend Erin Walter, whose voice you heard on our beautiful prelude. She is a minister, an activist, and a musician based in Austin. She's the winner of the 2017 Sermon Award from the UU Women's Federation. A former YMCA director, Reverend Erin is the singer-songwriter for the band Parker Woodland. And I know what Parker Woodland means. I used to live near that intersection. Whose music you'll hear throughout the service. The band has an EP coming out in January. Erin serves as a board member for the Texas Unitarian Universalist Justice Ministry and the affiliated community minister of Wildflower UU Church in Austin. She has also served as a retreat chaplain at U-Bar-U. Next summer, her book about unconventional community ministry will be published by the UU publisher Skinner House. On a personal note, I knew Erin as a little girl at First UU Austin, and we reconnected a few years ago when we discovered we were neighbors and had children at the same elementary school. I was also one of her Zumba students who Zumbaed her down the aisle for her ordination at Wildflower Church. Now for the call to worship and chalice lighting.
Jill, thank you for that memory. I do think I may be the only Unitarian Universalist minister who has had a Zumba processional for their ordination, and I'm so grateful that you were a part of it. Good morning. It's so good to be with all of you. What a treat. A couple of notes before our call to worship. Welcome to my home in Austin. This is my daughter's bedroom. It has the best sparkle and the best Wi-Fi in the house. So we call it church on Sundays. And I believe that, you know, as Unitarian Universalists, we're called to show that our mission goes everywhere. And so in some ways, what better way than this? I also just wanted to thank you again for having me and to acknowledge that Kerrville is a music town. You have the folk festival, and for those of us in Austin who are musicians, it's just been devastating not to be able to play music this year. And so it is a great gift to my spirit to get to share music with you and to connect in this way. So thank you for having me. Our call to worship words this morning come from Elandria, or E. Williams, a Black UU leader who was raised in our faith, who tragically passed away at age 41 this year, not from COVID, but from another medical condition, and is missed deeply. E was the co-moderator of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the highest volunteer role you may have, from August 2017 to June 2020. And you would have seen them if you were, for example, at the New Orleans General Assembly, which I attended. E was an incredible presence in our movement. And so if the name Elandria Williams is new to you, I would greatly encourage you to Google them after the service and benefit from their legacy. The call to worship words are an excerpt from We Are Worthy. We are worthy, not because of what we produce, but because of who we are. We are divine bodies of light and darkness. You are not worthy because of what you offer, not because of what is in your mind, not for the support you give others, not for what you give at all. We are worthy and are whole, just because. Welcome to worship.
Please join me now in saying our mission statement and affirmation, which Justin will provide on our screens. We journey together, guided by UU values, to seek, nurture, and serve our loving church family, our community, and our world. And our affirmation. The doctrine of this church is love. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. And this is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, as we strive to have all souls grow into harmony with the divine.
What a beautiful affirmation. As Justin prepares our opening hymn, I'll tell you it's Shine on Me, led by an incredible UU singer, Melanie Demore. It's African-American spiritual, and one that I fell in love with when I was a hospital chaplain in training in Oakland, California. And I remember the music director of the First Unitarian in Oakland leading us in this song, and we got a verse or two in, and then he said, wait, you can do better than this. Give it your all, and then gave us a chance to do even more. And so in the spirit of inviting us to give our all, I invite you to sing along, to rise in body or spirit. Even though you're muted, we will feel it.
Hello, UU family. I'm going to sing a song with you called Shine on Me. It's an amazing spiritual that anybody can sing. And in these days when the things that we're dealing with, the feeling separate and all of that, and things seem so hard, this is one of those songs that you just throw your head back, put it in your medicine kit. All you have to do is ask. And here's how it goes. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh shine on me. Yes, shine Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, lift me up. Yes, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up. Oh, hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. So hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse please hold me close. Oh, shine on me, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. All you have to do is just ask. The light is always there. Always. Always. Oh, yeah.
For the image of my cute little kitten Dora here, for anybody that needs something cute. She's trying to eat my hand and probably my face in a moment.
We all need something cute. Thank you, Justin.
Junior in my lap. While I try to get him out of my lap, we'll have our offertory. Our congregation is entirely self-governed and financially supported by the voluntary generosity of our members and friends. To this end, let there be an offering to sustain the work of this close and committed community. Please mail your offering to the church or drop it in the mail slot in the door. And we will have special music from Parker Woodland again.
Oh, are we hearing that during the offering?
Well, we don't really have a physical offering, so.
Oh, I see. Okay. One of the joys of, I was telling Jill, I'm on basically a virtual tour and y'all are about halfway through 60 congregations for me. And one of the joys of this silver lining of Zoom, getting to go all around the country and even Canada is learning how different churches are doing things. And so it's an adventure every Sunday. I just love it. So give generously to support your church. Your church is very important. And what you're going to see in this next song is sort of the theme song of my band and my life for the last year or two. It's called The World's on Fire and We Still Fall in Love. And so it's asking us to think about how we hold both that there are very hard times and that there's love and beauty and community is still happening, and how do we acknowledge and live in that complexity. And what you're going to see here is more of my house, and I didn't clean up before anybody came into it. I think it's a gift to let people in and see your mess, whether that's spiritually, emotionally, or physically. And it's the last time that my community got together before the pandemic shut down. So it means a lot to me. And it also reminds me what we're fighting for. I can't wait till we can all be together again.
It's a hard time to look for hope when the truth can't feel like a joke or worse. They tell you it's your fault if you trust. But there's one thing I know, it's this: opposites do coexist, and the last thing they'll ever kill is love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no, I could let you go, saying it's not worth it. Oh, I could give up before we know. And what's the use in having hope? And even though everything's wrong and it shows, I still look at you and I know one thing could be perfect. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. I don't wanna be naive, but I catch myself wanting to believe, and I think I could take a risk this time. It's a hard time to look for hope when the truth can feel like a joke or worse. They tell you it's your fault if you try. World's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we're not giving up. No, no. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love. The world's on fire and we'll still fall in love.
Thank you, Erin. You're on for your sermon.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, thank you for enjoying a little rock and roll with me this morning. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea in church, but I hope you felt the spirit of community. What we're going to talk about today is what is your way of celebrating and holding on to the spirit of community, the spirit of the divine, the spirit within yourself, even in hard times. And so here we are at 9 months in. It is so hard. And we've made it this far. So I want to celebrate with you today that we've made it this far. I want to be able to acknowledge that it is very hard, and we have lost people in this time that we haven't been able to grieve. As a country, we've lost more than 300,000 people to COVID, but we've lost ways of life this year. It's been really hard. And there are still clear signs of grace, of love, of reasons to have hope. And so I want to invite you to think with me and feel with me today about what is giving you hope for these hard times and where your spirit comes from. Now, for me, music is a big part of it. And as a lifelong UU who really believes in our faith and our message and that more people need to hear it, one of the things that I like to do is share sort of a variety of music. So you got to hear kind of a country piano ballad from me, then you got to hear a spiritual, then you heard a little rock and roll, and then later you're going to hear a choral orchestral piece. And so I just want to invite you to be thinking about how you can bring people into this community in different ways and provide things that speak to different folks. One of the congregations that I visited, when they saw that video, someone told me that they started to cry, and this is going to make me cry, because they hadn't seen children in so long. We've been separated from our families. Some of our congregations don't have kids in them. And so for some folks in this one congregation, it's the first time they'd seen children. When you asked about visitors, one of the things that I also encourage people everywhere I go is to take advantage of this Zoom time. If I can come and visit you, so can lots of other people. So have you sent your church invitation to your friends, even if they don't live in the Hill Country? Let them experience the gift of this community. People need it. People need what you all are growing and nurturing in each other. So thank you again for the chance to share it today. Some days, like in that song, Wake Me Up, I wake up feeling just on fire to be alive. So grateful, so hopeful, I can barely describe it. And other days, it really is a struggle. And so what I've been thinking about this year is, what do we learn from that time of struggle? What can we take into 2021 to feel that all was not lost and that we've learned from this time? And when I'm counseling people in spiritual direction, I ask them, what has helped you before? What has helped you in previous hard times? So the only time that even compares for me to this year is the year that my father died. Very unexpectedly, when I was a young adult. Don't let the energy fool you. I'm not a young adult anymore. So this was about 17 years ago. And my father had a heart attack. He was very healthy, and it was a freak thing. And he was in a coma for several days in the hospital in South Austin before we had to let him go. And when I think about that time, surprisingly, I think a lot about the good things that happened, even though it was the greatest loss of my life. And so when I get stuck in grief, as I often have this year, this is a year that I lost my job. I used to be a director at the YMCA, and the Y has lost so much funding because people lost their jobs and can't keep their memberships. So many of us lost our jobs. If anyone in your family has been struggling financially, my heart is with you. But when I get stuck in grief over these things that we've lost, I remember some of these things that were silver linings or signs of hope from the hardest other year of my life. I want to share them with you, and then I want to talk about what we might extrapolate for church. When my father died, I remember the way my stepmom invited my mom into the circle in the hospital waiting room so that we could all hold hands, so no one would be left out, despite the conflicts and the pain of the past. I remember my stepsister's aunt, whom I didn't know very well, but who brought me new reef flip-flops in the hospital waiting room as a small gesture. She saw how I wore mine all the time, and I'd worn them out, and she knelt down at my feet. And when I think about it, I think of the image, honestly, of Jesus washing the feet. She knelt at my feet and with such sweetness, and she said, I wanted you to have these. I see how much you love the other ones, and they're getting old. So that sweet little gesture of noticing what someone loves and sharing that with them. I remember the friends who sat with me, especially the man who used to change my father's oil in his truck out in Marble Falls. He drove an hour to Austin. He and his wife just to be with us, just to tell us what a nice man my father was. And to this day, I'm still moved by that someone would drive, someone you would see once a month. How often do you change your oil? Someone that you would see just ever so often, that you would know each other by name, that word would get to you, and that you would come to be with the family. And I thought to myself, I want to live a life like that. I want to have roots in the community. As Jill said, my band is named after Parker and Woodland are the intersection where we live in the neighborhood. I want to have roots in the community, and that people know and love each other so much that we would show up for each other like that. I remember crying and being held in love by people of all backgrounds in the hospital chapel. And I knew that the theology was not the same as mine, this chaplain who was in the hospital with me. But it meant everything to me just to be held in love by these people. And for them to tell me that they believed that my father was going to a better place, whether I had any evidence or shared that, it meant something that they cared enough to be with me. And then lastly, I remember the country music, the fishing stories, the barbecue smells that we brought into his room in an effort to wake him up, to bring him back to life. And those things didn't do that, but they still bring life to me. They are sources of joy and memory that keep my loved one alive for me. When I smell barbecue, when I hear Merle Haggard, when I fish with my kids. And so those things that I share in the hardest time, it was not hard for me to remember all of these beautiful things. And I also remember the incredible peace and just love and beauty when his body truly let go. As hard as it was, my uncle and I turned to each other and we said, did you feel that? It was so beautiful. And we call each other and we remind each other, because it doesn't sound right, but we felt it. And so those are some things that I want to hold as I grapple with this time and what it means to keep a community together in a pandemic, what it means to find silver linings or ways of love in such struggle. I want us, like my stepmom, to invite people in, even where there is conflict, even where there is struggle, and find a way to say, I love you, even beyond that. I want us to notice the little things that bring each other joy and amplify those for each other. If you know someone in this congregation who loves frogs, or you know someone in this congregation who loves rainbows, someone gave me rainbow earrings for Christmas because they know that's what I love. Can you be on the lookout for just little tokens of love and appreciation to share with each other or other people in your lives, to let them feel seen? And I know we can't be together safely close physically, but we can find ways to show up even at a distance, masked. If someone is struggling, make that drive, even just to wave from their curb with your mask on, whatever it takes. If someone is really, really, really in their deepest, lowest place, let's find a way to show up for each other safely. Let's be the church that transcends theology, that just lets love be above all things, and let's invite people in. Now, I want to share with you, speaking of theology, my favorite verse in the Bible. I did not grow up with much Bible. I grew up in a UU church that didn't really go that route. And so I've been playing a little catch up in seminary. I don't know if you can see this, it might be flipped, but this is the Poverty and Justice Bible. I heard that this is the version that Dr. William Barber uses. And he is, of course, one of our great justice leaders in this country out of North Carolina, started the Moral Mondays movement. But what this version does, I tell you, I love to highlight a book. But this one comes pre-highlighted with all the sections about poverty and justice highlighted. So if you're looking to kind of, either return to the Bible in a new way or explore it in a way that is really deeply consistent with UU values, this is the one that I use. And upon his recommendation. Now, the section I'm going to read to you is not one of the orange highlighted sections, but it is very meaningful to me. So I'm going to read to you from Exodus chapter 15, and feminist scholar Carol Myers argues that Exodus might be the most important book of the Bible, and there's some feminist element here that I want to share with you. Of course, the Israelites are on the long journey from slavery to the promised land, through the wilderness, through the desert in this story. And I think we can relate to that in many ways. We are, as a people in the wilderness, on a long journey from institutional racism and violence, from environmental degradation, from this pandemic into what I hope will be something better through this pain. And so I relate to it in some ways through that for this year. But so here we are in the Song of Miriam. The Song of Miriam, Exodus chapter 15, verse 19 starts, "The Israelites had walked safely through on dry ground. Miriam, the sister of Aaron, was a prophet. So she took her tambourine and led the other women out to play their tambourines and to dance. Then she sang to them." Now, when a fellow UU minister pointed this out to me, it meant the world to me. There's so many reasons why, but think about it. In this story, they have gone on this long journey. They can't be carrying much. And frankly, in this time, we're not taking much with us through this pandemic, right? We have had to jettison so much of what was part of our lives, our activities, our jobs, the things that kept us busy. But she brings a tambourine. And they make time and they save energy to dance. And the best part about it to me is just this 2-letter word, so. Miriam, the sister of Aaron, was a prophet, so she took her tambourine and led the other women out to play and to dance. Not she was a prophet and they tolerated her tambourine. Not she was a prophet and anyway, okay, fine, she also had a tambourine. She was a prophet, so she had a tambourine. Music, dance, spirit, celebration, joy are part of being prophetic. And I believe, even though that language is not one you hear from Unitarian Universalists very often, that we have a role in this time to be prophetic for folks, to share our message that all are loved. There are people out there trapped at home, sheltering in place with people who do not love them for who they are, who need to be loved for who they are. And we need to get that message out. And church is one of the only places you can still sing together in this time. I know it's not the same. I know we're on mute, but I see you and it feels better than nothing. And so I just want to invite you to ask yourselves, what is your tambourine? Maybe it is music. Maybe it's not. What is your instrument of joy for holding on in hard times? Is it gardening? Is it long walks? Is it your pets? I saw some really, really sweet pets on these screens. What is it? And how can you share it with each other? If you're tech savvy and you want to type your tambourine in the Zoom, in the chat, you're more than welcome to do that. And I just invite you to share that when we have our time to talk. But don't keep it to yourselves. I've heard folks joke about how our churches are on dead end cul-de-sacs. Our signs are small if we have them at all. We sometimes shy away from putting out there what gives us joy, including these congregations. And so I just want to invite you to share your tambourine, to be someone's lighthouse in this time. And I look forward to hearing what yours are, because I can always use another dose of joy in my life. We don't know when the struggle's going to come, when the next person is going to be sick, when we're going to lose our jobs, whatever it may be. So don't wait to hold on to your joy and to share your joy now. Thank you so much for sharing a little of it with me today. And I'm going to invite Jill to lead us in a time of discussion.
Okay. Wave your hand if you would like to respond. A lot to chew on there. I think I'm going to watch the recording of this again, Erin. There's so much to take in.
All right. And June, I saw your hand shoot right up, so we're getting you on there. Okay, there you go.
Okay. Wonderful service and certainly life affirming. I learned a whole lot when I was in Al-Anon, and one of the things that I have tried to keep with me daily is an attitude of gratitude, which has really come in handy this last year. I have been blessed in this year. It's truly been a blessing to me that I can still help others. I can drive for Care Connect. I can teach ESL. One of the things I look forward to every week, 2 or 3 times, is to take my dogs to the world's best dog park and let them be happy being themselves and meet people. Yesterday there was a big bag of dog treats hanging from the gate for anybody that wanted to take them. Some of the little serendipity that happens. A couple of friends of ours had a very unexpected baby this past year, who is about the cutest thing in Texas. And sometime in this next year, they're going to move next door to us, and I'll be able to watch that, precious baby, if I live long enough, maybe be at her quinceañeras. I just don't know, but it gives me a sense of expectancy and joy, and every day brings something else like that. I am truly blessed. Oh, and I mentioned that I needed some socks for Christmas, and I got 12 pair of them. And they're all really nice socks. So I can, that's enough to see me out, I think. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your joys with us.
All right, Pat, you're up next.
I'm not going to talk about my tambourine, but you talked about the death of your husband, and it reminded me of something unexpected that comforted me when my son died 5 years ago of cancer. And you all know, those of you in the church who knew me, that I talked about it. It helped me a lot to talk about his death. And we came back from Iowa, where he died, and we had a reservation for a camping trip at Inks Lake, which is a place we go. And I thought, well, I shouldn't go. My son just died. But then I thought, why not? I can grieve in my campsite, in our small camper. And so we did honor our reservation and go to Inks Lake. And in my style, every neighbor, everybody around me knew that I lost a son the previous week, because I couldn't stop talking about it. And they also knew, I mean, that my theology was not, I didn't have a sense of heaven and hell as many of those people had. He was in hell as far as I was concerned before he died. And anyway, one of my neighbors came up to me as his family was leaving. I was sitting outside in a lawn chair where you sit by the lake. And he came up and he said, "We're leaving today and I would like to pray with you." And I said, "You know, this is not my way." And he said, "I would like to pray with you." And so I said, "All right." And I listened, and he put his hand on my shoulder, on my arm, and he prayed. And I was so grateful for this man's gift. He cared enough about a stranger who was grieving to come up and give me the best that he could. And that is what I heard you say about.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
That
you.
was, I had to share that memory because I'm even crying now as I think about it. And I haven't cried for a very long time about Dan. 5 years is a long time.
Beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sorry for your loss even these years later.
All right, David, you've got a.
I mean, this may not be the right spirit, but I want to share how difficult it is to play my tambourine. For me, it's playing the guitar and singing country music. Although I even tried to sing some Christmas carols recently with the guitar. Some work better than others with the guitar. But what I just wanted to share, and I'd be surprised if other people weren't like this too, some, but that is that I know it's going to make me feel better to play the guitar. I know that it's good for me, so to speak. But then I don't do it.
Yeah.
And I just, why, damn, you know? And then when I do, I think, why don't I do that more often? It's obviously good. There's no downside to it. And so I just want to share that because I bet a lot of other people, same thing. Kevin, going over to the Glory Gardens, I know it'll make me feel better to do that and that I should do it. And then I don't do it. And why don't I do it? And I just think that's a very common thing. And it's something in all of us like that. And that we have to make the effort to love life and enjoy life.
David, preach. That is so true. And I feel the same way. And I just thank you so much for naming that. I feel in such solidarity with that. And I wonder if there's anybody in this group that would welcome like a text buddy, like, have you played your guitar for even 5 minutes today? Just play one song. Or it's amazing to me how that works. If I just pick it up for 2 minutes, but I'm with you. It's the same with so many things. Thank you for naming that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I got several here. Let me start with Mike and then Meredith and then Mari. Be just a second here. All right. Mike and Karen, you should have a unmute.
Yeah, we just want to join actually in with what June said earlier, that being able to give to others seems to work very well. It kind of takes your mind off your own troubles and you see other folks who are really a whole lot worse off than you are. And it's about that's about it. I think it's the sharing. I guess that was part of the tambourine. She was sharing. And if you share time or an ear, then do it.
It's a wonderful
you.
tambourine. Thank you.
All right, Meredith, you should have a unmute.
There we go. Okay. Well, I have a tambourine here. And this tambourine was brought to me from my friend June. She brought it to me from Maine one year when they came back. And I love it very much. And I especially love it because it was given to me from my friend. I feel like I have been given a very kind of strange gift during this pandemic time. Mornings for me when I woke up have always been kind of a time of stress where I worry about everything that I have to do that day and things I'm not going to get done and all this when I first wake up. And ever since the pandemic really got going, like in March or whatever, something has happened. And every single morning, when I'm first waking up, I feel grateful. I feel so grateful. And the people and the things that I'm grateful for start going through my head. And I've never really experienced that in the morning before. I don't know why I do now. But even though I finally talked about it to Monty and my daughters, it still happens every morning as I wake up. I'm feeling grateful. And of course, I feel immensely grateful for that experience. And there's one other thing I would like to mention. Monty and I have known each other since we were kids. And Monty had many of sports cars at the time. And he drove sports cars. In fact, I even drove some of his sports cars. And they were wonderful. And I remember him that way in many ways. And so this Christmas, I bought him a hat that is the way he looked to me when he was a young man, very young man, driving his sports cars. And surprisingly, he loves his hat. He put it on today to show you all. And when I look at him, I see him when he was 18. And I see him as he is now. And it's such a wonderful thing that we still have each other. And so thank you all.
Thanks for sharing that.
All right, and Mari, you should have, here you go. Oh, you're not on yet, Mari. There you go.
Sorry, I thought I was. There isn't anything quite so useless I was feeling as an elderly lady and who can't do the things that she could do for others before in the spring and throughout the summer. But the Saturday that Sandra called me up and said, I think I'm having a heart attack and I don't drive a car, so I couldn't go help her. But I called June, and June immediately went and told her under no circumstances was she going to stay home with her heart attack. She was going to go to the hospital. And then there began a time when I needed both to go to the hospital and visit Sandra, but also to get up in the early morning, get on my bike and go to Sandra's house and feed her cats. This is something I can do. So right now, that's given me a purpose in life. So out of I won't say tragedy because Sandra's coming home on Tuesday, but out of Sandra's problem has come for me a way in which I can be significant, which I wasn't before. So I'll piggyback on Mike and agree with him that business of being useful to others, being able to help others, as we have all done as Unitarians in the past, it is just a gift that Sandra inadvertently has given me, and her 7 cats, which are lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mari, for sharing. If I may both agree with you that having purpose really, really helps, and also just return us to the opening words from Elandria Williams, that you are worthy and whole and beautiful just because. So I don't want to give the impression that when I ask what your tambourine is, doing is the only way, but I feel you on what a big difference having a purpose and giving and doing for others gives us. So thank you for sharing that.
Shall we do the closing hymn?
I have to be going soon, so that sounds good. I don't want to miss you. I don't want to not be there for the benediction.
Okay.
Thank you all for your sharing.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Feel free to continue sharing in the chat if you didn't get to say what you wanted to say. Or call.
Oh.
We're going to do the hymn though?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and start the hymn.
Sing along.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that hails a new creation.
No storm can shake my inmost heart, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? While all the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth.
All right, let's extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside to the world we hope will soon again inhabit when we may be together again. And Reverend Erin will do our benediction, and that will be it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jill, and everyone. For our benediction, I invite you to reach out your hands, always just an invitation, always by consent, so it's up to you. But I invite you to reach out your hands. If there's someone near you whose hand you can actually hold, how lucky and blessed you are. And if not, I invite you to imagine whose hand you might hold in the sanctuary of your congregation when we are back together again. Spirit of life and love, holy and divine, beyond all knowing and beyond all naming, I give thanks for this day. I give thanks for the work of this congregation to stay together in a pandemic, to find new ways to love and new ways to nurture each other, new purpose, and also to cling and to celebrate those tambourines in their lives that have brought them joy. May we find ways to pick up our guitars, to give our neighbors a ride, to see each other in our full humanity and be there for each other safely in this time. May we, in all the ways that we do, keep singing. Amen and blessed be.
Thank you.
Go in peace and love and have a wonderful meeting. Just like such a you way to close a service.